Hey everybody, it's Second Chance Adventures. Today's day number 259 after having gastric bypass surgery. I got another message on my Twitter. Somebody asked, basically, out of all the years of you being overweight and dealing with weight issues, what was the hardest thing you had to deal with, throughout all the years? And it was about a good 20 some years that I dealt with it because it started when I was like in the second grade. Because there's a lot to it. There's physical issues, mental issues, emotional issues, um, issues with being social and things like that. What was the hardest part of that, I'd say, would be socially. Um, because I'm not one that defines who I am based on how I look. I'm just not one of those people because, I figure, one of these days everything's gonna go away anyways, like the nice tight skin, hair, you know, um, the color in my hair, things like that. I'm not really too worried about the way I look. Obviously, shower and brush your teeth and, lotion if you want once in a while. But, other than that, I'm not one to focus my entire life based on how I look. Um, but the hardest thing I would have to say is social, more than anything, really, because if you were in my shoes, you would completely understand why. And the reason why is because when I first became aware that I was overweight, it was because of other people, like the students in my class, second grade. Now I know they're just, 7, 8 year olds, fine, whatever. But, the fact that it is still present, it was still there. Socially, when you're overweight, you're bullied a lot. They make fun of you. They call you names. I can't say how many times in school, like, kids would throw food at me and pour stuff on me and things like that. You know, um, Going on to middle school, when, a time during puberty when you're, like, trying to figure out who you are in the very beginning. Because, when you go through puberty and you, like, explore who you are and your interests and, like, kind of figure out who you are, that kind of thing, the last thing you need is people being against you and hurting you socially instead of being there to encourage you and inspire you. I never had that in school until I got to, like, ninth grade. Um, Socially always being left out of everything, never being anybody's pick for anything. You're always that last person to pick. You're the person that's always left over. Nobody ever wants to pick you for anything. Nobody ever wants to socialize with you. And if they do, it's because they want something from you. Like, for example, when I got to about middle school, like especially seventh and eighth grade, it seems like nobody would ever want to have anything to do with me. And it wasn't just because of my weight, it was also because, I didn't really want to talk anyways, because I was really shy and because a lot of the students that I was around were always being in trouble and didn't care about their school and always fighting with teachers and students, and I just wasn't like that. So of course I'm not going to mix with it. But that was just me by myself because a lot of students I was always around were like that. Um, but like I noticed that especially like seventh and eighth grade, whenever somebody would come up and talk to me, it was because, hey, do you know how to do this assignment? Or, hey, do you understand this? Or, hey, can you help us do this? And as soon as I would, it's like, okay, goodbye, we don't need you anymore, goodbye. Stuff like that hurts, knowing that, you're only around for someone's disposal, and it's very heartbreaking. It really hurts you in a lot of ways. It really wasn't until the ninth grade when I like got my first official friend. Her name's Jasmine. We're still friends to this day. We don't really talk that often because, she's busy with college. I'm busy with college. I have a family now, which is normal. You graduate high school and people go their separate ways. It's normal. But throughout everything, yeah, I would have to say social issues was the hardest part because, like I said, I don't judge people by the way they look, and other people should not, but that's just not the world we live in. Everything, how people see you, is a lot of the time is based off how you look, what you have, how much money you have, how popular you are, and it's just wrong. Um, like another example, when you're really overweight and, like I said before, nobody wants to pick you for anything. Like, I can remember a lot of times in gym class where you'd have to like pick a partner for like the activity you're doing, Or like if you're in a class and you need to pick a partner to do some kind of project or work on an assignment for the class time, I would never be anybody's pick. I would usually be like pretty much the last person. And every time that ever happened, middle school, elementary school, I knew that I was always going to be the last one. So I always just kind of hung around and just waited and kind of like see who I was going to end up being placed with, because I was never anybody's choice. I was always placed with somebody, or I was just the third wheel if it was an odd number. You know, they have like a third person in one group. That was always me, because nobody ever wanted to pick me. And it's sad. It is really sad. You know, and like I don't ever think about stuff like I don't think about those things anymore. I really don't. But since somebody asked that question, yeah, it kind of brought up some memories and stuff, and it's really hurtful. But jeez, yeah, that would probably be the hardest thing I ever dealt with while being overweight, like all through school and stuff. It's just, you know, knowing that just because the way you look, you're not anybody's pick, and nobody wants to willingly like go out of their way and be your friend, as if that should just be rocket science. It's terrible, you know. And people complain all the time on social media like nobody's loyal and I don't have friends for this reason, that reason. And I want to go, hello, I was always there. Someone that's not trashy, and somebody that doesn't cause trouble, and someone who's not a home wrecker and doesn't get in trouble with the law ever. Someone who I guess technically nowadays being a good person means you're just boring and lame. I don't know. It's just kind of how I see it now. And it's really sad. It really is sad. You know, people complain that they have no friends and that people aren't there for each other. But, you know, there's people like me or people who are deformed or have a disability that are always pushed to the side. And it's like, what about us? You know? Or are you only going after the ones that are good looking and have money and run around acting crazy? Why don't you just, you know, hang out with anybody? You know? I guess socially, another reason why I say socially it was the hardest is because, you know, it's high school. When you go out, you know, it seems like nowadays, if you are still with around the person you were with in high school, is because you got pregnant or you got that person pregnant. That's just kind of how it seems nowadays. Not all the time, but that's how it seems a lot. But, you know, in high school, you know, yeah, I had a boyfriend here or there, but like, even that was a problem, because I'm not going to say names, but I went out with one and we'll just call him S. And this was like in 10th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, one of the two. And he was a real D-bag. Let's just put it that way. But he had like made a comment one time, and I think, wow, even somebody I'm trying to like go out with that would like go out with me or go on a date or something would say something like that. And I start to think, man, I don't know what to do with myself. And then it just puts you in the ground even more. And here was the comment. If you, person I'm talking about, if you happen to ever find this channel, I'm going to expose you really quick, but I won't say your name because I'm not like that. But basically, we were in the library, and they had like tutoring before school, and I went in because I needed help with my science homework. And he was there, and we were talking, and one of his friends come up and kind of looking at us like, dude, what are you doing? Who is that? What is that? And he opens his mouth, and he acted like he was standing up for me, but really it was like a big punch in the face, really. He just pretty much stood up and said, well, fat chicks need love too. And I thought, that was completely unnecessary. If you're going to stand up for somebody, don't say something like that. Even if you're someone who's into people who are, you know, heavier or whatever, I don't care. But don't say something like that. That just makes it even more obvious that this person's really fat and that it's such a big deal. Don't do that. I mean, come on. It's embarrassing. I was so embarrassed. I just walked up and left, and I never talked to him again. Never spoke a word to him. Yeah, that was so embarrassing. There's a lot of social things. And then, oh my gosh, it's just a really big circle. So yeah, I would have to answer and say it was more social than anything else that I dealt with. You know, because no matter if you're fat or not, you still have to go to school with idiots. Whether you have money or not, you still got to go to school with idiots. You know, whether you're popular or not, you got to go to school with idiots. It's terrible. And then when you have something else that's wrong and it's against you, it's like another strike against you, and you know it. And you have to go there every day and face it because you have to go to school. You know, and it sucks knowing that every day you walk into those doors and know that you're about to pay a hell price for something you don't deserve. It's a world of bullying, and if you have ever gone through something like that, whether it was once or a million times, I'm so sorry. I know exactly how it is. You know, it's terrible. And I want you to know, even if you were 1,000 pounds, I would not care. I just want to know if you're a cool person to hang with. I wouldn't care if you were born without a nose. I wouldn't care if you were born and you had animal ears. I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So do what you can to be a good person. If you were ever a bully in your life, find that person and apologize. Like, people can really move on and people can really benefit, both the bully and the victim, with a simple "I'm sorry, I was an idiot." Maybe even tell why you did it. Maybe you were going through something. I know a lot of students were going through a lot of crap at home. You know, it took me till after high school to realize that, because a few people had told me that, and I come to understand it doesn't make it right, you know, but that's part of growing up. If you've ever done that to somebody, call them up, invite them to lunch, you know, go get some coffee and talk. You might end up being really good friends and you don't even realize it. You really don't know. You don't know. You never know. So do what you can to be a good person, guys. There's too much hate in the world, and life is hard enough as it is. Please don't make it harder for other people, okay? Life does it enough. We don't need to hurt each other. The world is going down the toilet, and it would really just be nice if people would just help each other grow instead of stomping them down, because life does it enough. All right. I hope that answers your question, and you guys have a good rest of the day.